What's happening around the world?
And what's happening here at home? Good evening and a very warm welcome. This is Primetime News on TV1. I'm Thiruni Karnaratna.
And I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Sirasa Namami in Muthiyankane on Madin Poyade. Former Booster prison superintendent shot dead in Akmimana. Suspect who allegedly sexually assaulted a doctor at the Anuradhapura hospital detained for 48 hours for questioning. Suspect's sister and her husband remanded. Many factions demand for the implementation of the Batalanda Commission report recommendations.
රජා අයිතීන් අහෝසි කිරීමේ ඉඳලා ඒ අවශ්‍ය සියපිත දඬුවම් ටික අනිවාර්යව ලබා දෙන්න ඕනේ.
මියගේ මිනිසුන්ට සාධාරණයක් අවශ්‍ය වෙනවා. ඔවුන් මේ හොරකමේ ගිහිල්ලා වංචා දූෂණ කළා නෙවෙයි ජීවිතේ පූජා කරන්නේ.
Will accept full responsibility for all actions, says former Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte after being arrested for crimes against humanity. Will the Colombo mayoral contest unite UNP and SJB?
වෙනත් පක්ෂවල හිටපු නාගරික මන්ත්‍රීවරු දැන් මේ පක්ෂයෙන් අපේක්ෂකත්වය ඉල්ලලා තියෙනවා. මේ සුදුසුම කාණ්ඩායම කොළඹ නගර සභාවට ඉදිරිපත්
Starting off with news here at home. A former assistant superintendent of the Busa High Security Prison in Galle has died in a shooting in Talagaha of Akmimana, Galle.
The police said that the incident took place at about 4:15 in the evening. Police reports indicate that two men on a motorcycle opened fire at the victim while he was in his yard. The assailants used a 9mm pistol before fleeing the scene. Police have launched investigations to apprehend the suspects involved in the shooting. The deceased had retired from his position as an assistant superintendent at the high security prison in Busa, Galle in March last year.
Another suspect was arrested in connection with the triple murder in Midenia. The arrest was made by officers from the Criminal Investigation Department.
The suspect was apprehended at the Bandaranaike International Airport in Katunayake while attempting to flee to Dubai. The 23-year-old suspect is a resident of Angulandenia, Katuana. Police stated that the suspect was wanted for aiding and abetting the triple murder. With this arrest, the total number of suspects taken into custody in connection with the incident has risen to 13. Officers from the Midenia Police and the Tangol Division Crimes Investigation Unit are conducting further investigations into the case. Arunavidanagamage, also known as Migas R.A. Khaja, was shot and killed in Midenia on the 18th of February. His two children, who were injured in the incident, later succumbed to their injuries. A brother of the notorious drug trafficker Pushpa Raja, also known as Pugudu Khanna, has been arrested. He was apprehended upon his return to the country from India using a fake passport. He had arrived in Sri Lanka with the intention of travelling to Dubai. Sri Lanka police said that a warrant had been issued for his arrest. Further investigations into the incident are being conducted by the Police Narcotics Bureau.
The Anuradhapura Magistrates Court granted permission to detain and question the main suspect for 48 hours who allegedly assaulted a trainee specialist doctor at her official residence in the Anuradhapura Teaching Hospital. His sister and her husband, who allegedly assisted the suspect in hiding, have also been remanded until the 17th.
The suspect, who allegedly sexually assaulted the trainee specialist doctor in her official residence in the Anuradhapura Teaching Hospital on Monday afternoon, had later fled the scene. However, the police and the special task force managed to arrest the suspect in Galnavar yesterday. The police said that the suspect is a 34-year-old deserter from the military. Investigations have revealed that the suspect had also acted as a monk for some time. The sister of the suspect involved in the incident was arrested last night in Galnavar on charges of aiding and abetting the suspect in hiding. Her spouse was also arrested by police under the charges of keeping with himself a mobile phone stolen from another residence while attempting to flee the residence of the female doctor. The suspect's sister and her husband were presented to the Anuradhapura Chief Magistrate today and were later remanded in custody until the 17th of March. The token strike conducted nationwide by Government Medical Officers Association on the GMOA in protest of the alleged sexual assault of a trainee specialist doctor at her official residence in the Anuradhapura Teaching Hospital concluded at 8 a.m. Due to this strike, patients who visited the hospital for consultations and treatments faced significant inconvenience. GMOA spokesperson Dr. Chamil Vijay Singh said that the strike was called off after their demands for security measures were adequately addressed. A special discussion regarding this incident was held at the North Central Provincial Ministry, attended by North Central Province Governor Vasantha Jinadasa, members of the GMOA Anuradhapura branch and senior officials from the Anuradhapura Police Headquarters.
සියලු දෙනා යම්කිසි එකඟතාවයකින් ඒකාබද්ධව වැඩපිළිවෙලක් සකස් කළා.
We have collectively agreed on a plan to ensure security within the hospital premises and have set a timeline for implementing these measures. The representatives from the GMOA expressed satisfaction with the positive steps taken by both the government and the provincial council, thus eliminating the need for further strike action.
සෑහීමකට පත් වෙනවා. ඒ නිසා තවදුරටත් වර්ජනය කිරීමේ අවශ්‍යතාවයක් පැන නොනගින.
Every day, millions face the impossible. What happens when clean water feels out of reach? When an entire village is left helpless? When it seemed like no one is listening, Gammatha saw the need. Gammatha took action and a community fought back. A water purification system for a village that once had none. Gammatha, for the people, by the people.
Today marks Madin Poya, a significant day in Buddhist history, commemorating the Buddha's visit to Kimbulwatpura with 20,000 monks at the invitation of King Suddhodana. Sirasa TV and Sirasa FM broadcast the Sirasa Namami Poya Day program at the historic Muthiangana Rajamahaviharaya.
The Sirasa Namami program by Sirasa TV and Sirasa FM that is held on every Poya day was held on the last Durutu Poya at the Ruanveli Mahasaya and on the last Navam Poya at the Dimulagala Forest Monastery. Today's Sirasa Namami program at the historic Muthiangana Rajamahaviharaya began with the traditional Sambuddha Puja early this morning, conducted by Venerable Murundeniye Dhammaratana Thera, who is in charge of the Muthiangana Rajamahaviharaya in Badulla.
මේ සියලු පූජාවන් ලෝතුරා බුදුරජාණන් වහන්සේගේ අනන්ත වූ සම්බුදු ගුණයට පූජාවක්ම වේවා පූජා වේවා පූජා වේවා පූජා වේවා කියලා සාදු කියන්න.
The program continued with Vihara Asna, a program where the historical background of the iconic Muthiangana Rajamahaviharaya was discussed. The session was led by Venerable Murundeniye Dhammaratana Thera of the Muthiangana Rajamahaviharaya in Badulla and Venerable Polonarve Vachisara Thera, senior lecturer at Uva Velas University.
බුදුරජාණන් වහන්සේ මේ මාතෘ ධරණී තලය පාදස්පර්ශ කරලා ස්ථාන 16කට වැඩම කරලා.
The Sirasa Damsada program was held in the presence of Venerable Delgoda Undupila, Augammana, Ambatadwara, Senasanawasi, Venerable Matara Mahinda Thera.
මිනිස්සු එකිනෙකා එනකොට ගන්නවා සම්පත් බෙදා ගන්න බැරුව රටවල් යුද්ධ කරනවා සම්පත් බෙදා ගන්න බැරුව.
The Sannasa Kathikava discussion dedicated to the perpetuation of the Sambuddha Sasana was also held once again with the presence of Venerable Vatarakumbure Dhammaratana Thera.
ලෝතුරා මේ අල්පායුෂ බුදුරජාණන් වහන්සේලාගේ විතරමයි ධාතුන් වහන්සේලා ලෝකෙ ඉතුරු වෙන්නේ.
Additionally, the Turunusita program for the youth was conducted today as well.
යහපත් සම්බන්ධතා ගොඩනැගීම තුළ ලස්සනට කටයුතු කරන්න, නිර්වුල්ව කටයුතු කරන්න අපිට අවස්ථාව හම්බෙනවා.
The Sathpiyama program was broadcast from the historic Muthiyangana Rajamaha Viharaya alongside Ape Pansala and Amisa Vandana programs.
තමුවන්ටම ප්‍රමුඛත්වය දෙන්න අන්න ඒ වගේ පුංචි මනෝභාවයන් තියෙනවා. ඒ තුල අර පුජ්‍යලයා තුල තියෙන සංයමය නැති වෙනවා.
In the evening, the Podisadugen Ahanna program, which was an interactive program between children and Samanera Theras, was also carried out today.
ඉපදෙමින් මැරෙමින් ගමන් කිරීම සංසාරයේ කියලා අපේ බුදුරජාණන් වහන්සේ දේශනා කළා තියෙනවා.
The Sirasa TV Sirasa Namami Poya program was concluded following the evening Gilan Pasa Puja.
The local government election Sri Lanka 2025.
Several candidates from the National People's Power contesting in this year's local government elections deposited their bonds today.
Contesting for the Homagama Pradeshya Sabha from the National People's Power also submitted their bonds today.
The Homagama electorate, where the National People's Power secured the highest number of votes in the parliamentary elections, is poised to see a remarkable victory in the upcoming local government elections. With a strong backing, the Homagama Pradeshya Sabha is expected to be a key electorate for the party in this election.
Meanwhile, it has been reported that the United National Party has given the Samaka Janamada until March 20th to announce its decision regarding a joint contest for the Colombo Municipal Council. This decision was made during a discussion held among senior UNP officials. Additionally, the UNP has reportedly stated that if the SJB is willing to contest jointly for other local government bodies, the decision can be made public before March 20th. General Secretary of Samaka Janamada Ranjit Mantuma Bandara responded to the media.
මන්දර අපි සාකච්ඡා වට කීපයක් පැවැත්තුවා. තීරණය කරා වෙන වෙනම ඉල්ලලා එකට පළාත් පාලන ආයතන පිහිටවන්න.
මහනගර සභාව සඳහා අපේක්ෂකයන් නම් කළ දෙන දේ ආරංචියටම සුදහමුදා නිලධාරිය. ඔබතුමාලා නම් කරනවා.
නම් කීපයක් ඉදිරිපත් වෙලා තියෙනවා. කීප දෙනෙක්ම කැමැත්ත ප්‍රකාශ කරලා තියෙනවා. අපි ඉදිරි දින කීපය ඇතුළත එතනින් සුදුසු අයෙකු පත් කරගන්න කටයුතු කරනවා.
Meanwhile, the Colombo district candidates of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna signed their nomination papers this morning at the party headquarters in Battaramulla.
Still in local news, the Call for Justice organisation emphasised that the Batalanda Commission report should be presented to Parliament and its recommendations should be implemented immediately.
In the mid-90s, the previous governments, including Ranil Wickremesinghe, fraudulently concealed the Batalanda reports, committing injustices. This government now has a legitimate right to take clear steps against those injustices. They must present the Batalanda Commission report to the Parliament and it cannot stop there. The recommendations in this report must be implemented immediately. This includes revoking civic rights and imposing necessary penalties. We emphasize that justice must be served to all those who were tortured and disappeared. Ranil Wickremesinghe is the mastermind behind all the murders in Batalanda, Kalaniya and Biyagama. He is the godfather. Ranil Wickremesinghe should not be in politics. He should be serving a life sentence in prison.
ආමලකරු godfather රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ කියලා කියන්නේ දේශපාලනය කරන්න නෙමෙයි බන්ධනාගාරේ ජීවිතාන්තය දක්වා සිරදළුවම් විඳින්න ඕන කෙනෙක්.
Ovindu Vijayveera, son of the late Rohana Vijayveera, expressed his thoughts regarding the Batalanda Commission report.
Justice is needed for those who were subjected to inhumane conditions in the detention camps and for those who lost their lives. They did not engage in theft or corruption. They sacrificed their lives for the country and for the ideologies they believed in. The government, which came to power through struggles, has a duty to ensure justice for them.
This is the story of Sub-Inspector Rohita Priyadarshana. Rohita Priyadarshana, who received his education at Nalanda College, Colombo, joined the Special Task Force of Sri Lanka Police in 1986. The Batalanda Commission report has paid significant attention to him. Rohita Priyadarshana, who also showed a natural talent for cricket, was assigned to the Crimes Investigations Division of the Sapagaskanda Police Station under the Kalaniya Police Division in 1989. He successfully contributed to solving numerous thefts and other serious crimes within the Kalaniya Division.
මල්ලිගේ පොලිසියේ බාරව සම්බන්ධ තමයි සබකන්ද පොලිසිය තිබ්බේ ඔය බියගම ඔක්කොම බටලන් අධිකාරිය තිබ්බේ කිට්ටුව මල්ලි ඒ ගැන සොයා බැලුවා. මල්ලි ඒ ගැන සොයා බලලා මල්ලි සොයාගත්තා මේ පිටිපස්සේ සිටින මේ කණ්ඩායම කියලා.
By 1990, Rohita Priyadarshana was serving as the officer in charge of the Crimes Investigations Division at the Sapagaskanda Police Station. On the afternoon of the 2nd of February 1990, Police Inspector Kirti Atapattu, who was serving as the officer in charge of the Savagaskanda Police Station, left for a meeting at the Biyagama Village Hotel.
What happened to Sub-Inspector Rohita Priyadarshana?
කීර්ති අතපත්තු එදා හැන්දෑවේ ගියා බියගම විලෝච් හෝටලේ මීටිමකට ඇමතිතුමා එනවා කියලා. කවුද මේ ඇමතිතුමා කියන්නේ? ඒ දවස්වල ඇමතිතුමා කියන්නේ මේ පැත්තේ බියගම ඇමතිතුමා කියන්නේ රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ. රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහත් එනවා. ඒ ප්‍රසිද්ධ බියගම විලෝච් හෝටලේට HP ඩග්ලස් ප්‍රසිද්ධ වෙනවා කියලා ගියා මීටිපට.
Around 8 p.m. that day, a phone call was received at the police station. According to the testimony given to the Presidential Commission by Police Sergeant Sirivarthana, who was on duty at that time, the call was made by Officer in Charge Kirti Atapattu. The officer in charge had informed Rohita Priyadarshana to come to the Biyagama Village Hotel. Following his superior's instructions, Rohita left the police station and a white car was parked in front of the station at that moment, as testified by Bandula Dinapurna, a journalist who was with Rohita at the time. According to the Batalanda Commission report, this was the last time anyone reported seeing Rohita alive. Excerpt from the Batalanda Commission report. Quote, Kirti Atapattu returned to the police station around 11 p.m. He noted in the logbook that he was taking a break. However, he did not inquire about Priyadarshana's absence from the station. End quote. 3 days later, a body believed to be that of the missing Rohita Priyadarshana was found washed ashore on the banks of the Kalani River opposite the Paliaguda police station. The body was so badly decomposed that it was unrecognizable. However, Dinesh, Rohita's brother, identified it based on a distinctive mark on Rohita's body, as noted in the Commission report. Excerpt from the Commission report. Quote, a part of the face was missing. The limbs were injured. Dinesh could not recognize the face. The body was swollen. However, a distinctive feature on Priyadarshana's chest, 2 on each side, was visible. End quote. After the body was identified, the officers at the scene tied it to a nearby tree with a rope as it floated in the river. According to the Commission report, this action by the police was deemed unusual. The next morning, Dinesh and his father went to the riverbank where the body was found, but it was no longer there, as noted in the Commission report.
Commission Sabha Vartavi Uputa Ganima.
Quote, the rope used to tie the body to the tree was cut. The officers on duty at the Paliaguda police station that night were unable to explain what happened to the body. Was Priyadarshana's body removed by an outsider without the consent of the Paliaguda police station authorities? Or did the body float away to the sea after the rope was cut? End quote.
Former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte has taken full responsibility for his deadly so-called war on drugs in a video message posted on Facebook following his arrest on a warrant from the International Criminal Court.
The last drug lord are
Former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte said he takes full responsibility for his administration's war on drugs in a video message posted on his Facebook account as he braces for a legal battle at the International Criminal Court. Duterte said in the video, quote unquote, "I am the one who led our law enforcement and military. I said that I will protect you and I will be responsible for all of this. I have been telling the police, the military, that it was my job and I am responsible." Former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte is the first Asian former head of state to appear before the ICC.
To my countrymen, just to give you the current situation, I think this is something to do with the law and order now. At sinasabi ko naman sa mga polis at military na trabaho ko yun at ako ang managot. So ito na nga, for all of the whatever happened in the past, ako na yung nag-front sa ating law enforcement at military. Sinabi ko na I will protect you and I will, ako ang managot sa lahat. This will be a long legal proceedings. But I say to you, I will continue to serve my country at so be it. Ganun na. Destiny ko. Salamat.
The ICC, based in The Hague, believes there are reasonable grounds to charge Duterte with murder as a crime against humanity, as an indirect co-perpetrator during the anti-drug campaign that rights groups estimate killed tens of thousands. A spokesman confirmed Duterte was in court custody after he arrived in Rotterdam by private jet. The War on Drugs was the signature campaign platform that swept the mercurial Duterte to power in 2016. During his 6 years in office, 6,200 suspects were killed during anti-drug operations by the police's count. Activists say the real toll was far greater, with many thousands more slum drug users, some of whom were on community watch lists after they signed up for treatment, gunned down in mysterious circumstances.
Back to local news now. Several issues regarding the importation of medicines into the country outside the procurement process were revealed during the COPE meeting. This was during the session where officials from the National Medicines Regulatory Authority were summoned before the COPE.
Case file.
දැන් ඔබතුමා ලිස්ට් එකක් කිව්වනේ WR එකේ තිබිලා දැන් මෙතෙන්දි මොනවද අයින් කරගෙන තියෙන්නේ කමිටිය නිර්දේශ ඕනේ නැහැ එතුමා බලලා දෙනවා එහෙමනේ දැන් එයා මොනවද බැලුවේ
අන්න විදියට දැන් මේ බෝඩ් පේපර් එකේ දාලා තියෙනවා බලන්න ડોකියුමන්ට්ස් කියලා ඒකේ තියෙන්නේ පර්චේස් ඕඩර් එකයි ඇප්ලිකන්ට් ගේ ටෙක්නිකල් ડોකියුමන්ට්ස් නැහැ එතන
ඒක තමයි මතු කර ගන්න ඕනේ. ඒ කියන්නේ ඖෂධය සම්බන්ධව මොන හරි ඒකේ ගුණාත්මක භාවය මොකක් හරි පරීක්ෂණ අවශ්‍ය කරුණු තිබ්බද
ඒක නයක් නැහැ.
තාක්ෂණික ડોකියුමන්ට් එකක්වත් ඒ බලපු ડોකියුමන්ට් අතර නැහැ.
ඒ යෝජනා ඉදිරිපත් කරනකොට ඩිරෙක්ටර් බෝඩ් එක කවුද හිටියේ?
බෝඩ් එකටත් මම ගියේ නැහැ මොකද මට ඒකේ ට්‍රාන්ස්පරන්සි එක ගැන ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක් තිබ්බා. ඊළඟට මේ ස්පෙෂල් පාත් එක ගැන මට ෆයිල් එක ආවා මම ෆයිල් එකේ අදටත් මිනිත් එක බලත හැකි. අර මම සෙක්‍රටරියට මිනිත් එකක් දාලා යවුවා. මේවා නැතුව මේකට පර්මිෂන් දෙන්න එපා කියලා.
සෞඛ්‍ය සේවා අධ්‍යක්ෂ ජෙනරාල් විසින් දෙන මේ
නෑ මගේ නිර්දේශය මම දුන්නා මට කරන්න පුළුවන් එච්චරයි නේ සහවතුමා.
ශලේකම්තුමා එච්චර ප්‍රෙෂර් එකක් කරනවද ඔයගොල්ලන්ට? කියන්නේ කොහොමද මේ බලපෑම කළේ?
අවුරුද්ද අග හොටෙල් එක බෝඩ් මීටිමක් තිබුණා.
ඒක යූසුවල් ප්‍රොසීඩර් එක නෙමෙයි.
නෑ කලින් ප්ලෑන් කරලා තිබ්බා NMR ස්ටාෆ් එකට ඩිනර් එකක් දෙන්න. ඒ ඩිනර් එකට කලින් බෝඩ් මීටින් එකක් දාලා අපි දන්නෙත් නෑ දවස් දෙකකට කලින් ඊමේල් එකක් ආවා. ඒ බෝඩ් මීටින් එකේ විවිධ දේවල් කරලා අන්තිමට 9 මාර්ට විතර එකපාරට දැම්මා ඩ්‍රග්ස් ගොඩාක් දාලා WR දෙන්න කියලා. ඊට පස්සේ මම කිව්වා මේක සාකච්ඡා කරන්න. සාකච්ඡා කරන්න බෑ මේ කැබිනට් එකෙන් අප්‍රූව් කියලා සාකච්ඡා කළේ නෑ. පස්සේ මම කිව්වා මං එන විරුද්ධ වෙනවා කියලා.
බෝඩ් මීටින් එක වෙන්ද ගන්නේ කොහෙද?
වෙනද ගන්නේ මේ සාමාන්‍ය NMR එකේ මේ
NMR එකේ බෝඩ් එතන අදාළ රූම් එකේනේ.
ඔව්. ඊට පස්සේ මම දැන් ඇහුවා දැන් කවුරු ස්පොන්සර් කරනවද? නෑ කිව්වා. මම කිව්වා දැන් සල්ලි ගෙවන්නේ කවුද කියලා. ඊට පස්සේ අපි අතින් දුන්නා.
ওই ඩිනර් එකට සහ ওই මීටින් එකට
ආයතනයේ මුදල් ගෙවලා තියෙනවා.
ලක්ෂයක ඇඩ්වාන්ස් එකක් ගත්තා. ඒ මුදල වියදම් වුණේ නැහැ කියලා ඒ සල්ලි ආපහු අපේ account එකට දාලා තිබ්බා.
සාමාන්‍ය අපි දෙන ඔය කේක් කැල්ලක් වගේ එකට ලක්ෂයෙන් මිනිමත් තියන්න බෑ. මේ එතකොට ඒකට අනිවාර්යෙන් වෙන ක්‍රමයකින් සල්ලි එන්න ඕනේ. මොකද දැන් එදා ලක්ෂය ගත්තා නම් ඒ ගත්තේ මේ සමාජිකයන්ට ගෙවන්න මුදලක් තියෙනවා රෙනිමිනේෂන් එකක්. ඒක විතරයි ගෙවන්න පුළුවන් ඔය ලක්ෂයෙන්. එතකොට අර කෑම වලට සහ හෝටල් ගාස් වලට ඒ ලක්ෂයෙන් කරන්න බෑ. ඒක ගෙව්වේ නැත්නම් වෙන ක්‍රමයකින් ඒ මුදල් එන්න ඕනේ.
දැන් මේ මුදල නැවත ගෙවුවා නම් ඒ කියන්නේ බෝඩ් මෙම්බර්ස්ලාට එදා පේමන්ට් කරලා නැහැනේ. ඒ කියන්නේ වැලිඩ් බෝඩ් මීටින් එකක් නෙවෙයි තිබිලා තියෙන්නේ. කෝරම් එකකුත් තිබුණාද නැද්ද කියලා හොයන්න ඕනේ.
මෙඩිසින්ස් ඉවැලුවේෂන් කමිටි එකට බෙහෙත් වර්ග 300ක් පමණ එක සැරේ ආව වේවර් ඔෆ් රෙජිස්ට්‍රේෂන් ලිස්ට් එකක්. ඒ මෙඩිසින්ස් ඉවැලුවේෂන් කමිටි එක හැටියට අපි විරුද්ධ වුණා. එකක්වත් වේවර් ඔෆ් රෙජිස්ට්‍රේෂන් කමිටි එකෙන් අප්‍රූව් වෙච්ච ඒවා නෙවෙයි. අපි කිව්වා මේ අපිට මේක අප්‍රූව් කරන්න බැහැ කියලා. ඒ ගමන කිව්වා නෑ මේවා මේ අත්‍යවශ්‍ය බෙහෙත් මේවා නැත්නම් රටට බෙහෙත් නැති වෙනවා. ඒක නිසා තමයි කියලා. සමහර ඒවායි දීලා තිබිච්ච ඒවා බ්ලැක් ලිස්ටඩ් කම්පනීස් වලට දීලා තිබුණා. ඇමොක්සිසිලින් වගේ රෙජිස්ට්‍රේෂන් 50ක් විතර තිබිච්ච ඒවටත් වේවර් ඔෆ් රෙජිස්ට්‍රේෂන් දීලා තිබුණා.
ඒ වෙලාවේ CEO සභාපති කවුද? මහාචාර්ය එස්.ටී. ජයරත්න සභාපති, වෛද්‍ය විජිත් ගුණසේකර ප්‍රධාන විදිහට.
ඒතර අමාත්‍යවරයා
කේලියරෝ කේලිය.
Meanwhile, a customs inspector along with 2 others were arrested by the Police Narcotics Bureau for attempting to smuggle a large consignment of illegal cigarettes through the Katunayake International Airport. This special report provides details on the incident.
The incident was reported yesterday at the Katunayake International Airport. The customs inspector involved attempted to remove a consignment of illegal cigarettes which had been brought into the country from abroad without undergoing the necessary inspections. The customs inspector used his identification card to gain access to the customs control area of the airport, where he attempted to smuggle the illegal cigarettes out using his official authority. During this attempt, officers from the Police Narcotics Bureau intercepted him. Upon inspection, they discovered 60,000 illegal cigarettes in his possession, which had been smuggled into the country. It was revealed that the customs inspector, who was arrested along with the illegal consignment, was an officer assigned to the Colombo Customs Preventive Division. The customs inspector and the 2 others involved were presented before the Negombo Magistrates Court and were released on bail with a bond set at 400,000 rupees each. While there are many custom officers who perform their duties efficiently and lawfully, such instances of corruption and misconduct are rare but concerning. Don't the corrupt actions of a few officials tarnish the reputation of all public servants?
Newsfirst with the people.
The South Asian Women in Media Sri Lanka held a special event marking the International Women's Day 2025 in Colombo. The event focused on enhancing media engagement with women in politics.
The South Asian Women in Media Sri Lanka, in collaboration with the Free Media Movement, Sri Lanka Working Journalists Association, Editors Guild of Sri Lanka and the Sri Lanka Press Institute held a special event marking International Women's Day 2025 at the Sri Lanka Press Institute auditorium yesterday.
I think in competitive politics, usually women are not in a favorable position. They are in a very disadvantageous position. And that's mainly because political parties consider women to be a sort of a liability. They don't think women are an asset They don't think that there's something that women can contribute to in politics. They don't take women's opinions seriously. It's not just the political culture. It's also about how women raise money for campaign financing. It's very hard for a woman if you're on your own. If you are not supported by a political party, you have to make sure that there is enough space in the media for you. And whenever, even for us, even for women in the parliament, I think whenever there is space in the media, it's not necessarily positively. You rarely hear about a positive contribution from a woman. It's always something negative. It's slanderous. It's either, controversial. Women are seen as clickbait news items. They are not necessarily given a positive outlook in the media and in politics also. So I think it's not easy for a woman to get into politics. It's not easy for a woman to sustain in politics.
This is a law which I did not support, the Online Safety Act, because there were many provisions to control freedom of expression and so on. But there are provisions in the Online Safety Act which can be taken out and passed as a separate law in order to prevent this kind of harassment of women, particularly in this time and age, online harassment of women and so on. So, there are certain laws which can be passed to definitely protect women and so on. But when it comes to public engagement in politics, like for instance elections and so on, it doesn't matter how many laws we have. You can't. The amount of violence which women face is so much that you can't contain it with laws. Laws are good. I mean, we should have laws. That's on one side, but there also has to be a mechanism to support women who are going through this kind of harassment issues, sextortion, death threats and so on.
The event was titled Improving Media Engagement with Women in Politics in Sri Lanka.
In the heart of Anamadua, lives are changing. For years, patients travelled miles for life-saving treatments, but not anymore. Gammatha renovated a building to establish a dialysis unit at the Anamadua Base Hospital and constructed another building to house a medical-grade water purification system. Gammatha, for the people, by the people.
The Kremlin says President Vladimir Putin has been told Russian forces are in the final stage of the operation to drive Ukraine from territory it seized across the border in Kursk.
In the latest developments surrounding the ongoing war in Ukraine, Russia has declared that it is in the final stage of reclaiming the Kursk region, which has been a point of contention ever since Ukraine launched its counter-offensive in August last year. Russian President Vladimir Putin made his first visit to the area yesterday, ordering his military to take full control of the region. Putin also called for the treatment of any captured Ukrainian soldiers as terrorists, further intensifying the rhetoric surrounding the conflict. This move comes on the heels of rising international diplomatic efforts as the US and Ukraine have come to an agreement on a 30-day ceasefire proposal. The world is now watching closely to see how Putin and the Kremlin will respond. Kiev has consistently stated that its goal isn't to hold on to the Kursk territory, but rather to use it as a leverage in its broader efforts to reclaim lands currently under Russian occupation. With US officials traveling to Moscow today for talks following their meeting with Ukrainian representatives earlier this week, there is heightened anticipation surrounding the ceasefire proposal. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, in his most recent social media post, urged his nation to move towards peace and called for stronger security guarantees for Ukraine's future. At this critical juncture, the future of the ceasefire hangs in the balance, with both sides preparing for a potentially decisive phase in the war.
Foreign ministers of leading Western democracies met in Canada after 7 weeks of rising tensions between the United States allies and President Donald Trump over his upending of foreign policy on Ukraine and imposing of tariffs.
The group of 7 ministers from Britain, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan and the United States, along with the European Union, meet in the remote tourist town of La Malbaie, nestled in the Quebec Hills, for 2 days of meetings that in the past have broadly been consensual on the issues they face. Top of the agenda for Washington's partners will be getting a debriefing on U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio's talks on Tuesday with Kiev in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, where Ukraine said it was ready to support a 30-day ceasefire deal. But in the run-up to the first G7 meeting of Canada's presidency, the crafting of an agreed, all-encompassing final statement has been tough. A U.S. decision to impose 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminium imports immediately drew reciprocal measures from Canada and the European Union, underscoring the tensions. On Monday, Rubio cautioned that Washington did not want language that could harm efforts to bring Russia and Ukraine to the table. Speaking to reporters yesterday, he said a good G7 statement would recognize that the United States has moved the process to end the war forward. G7 diplomats said the positive outcome from Jeddah may at least ease talks on Ukraine. The United States, since Trump's return to office on the 20th of January, has taken a less friendly stance on Ukraine, pushing for a quick deal to end the war, demanding the European partners take on more of the burden without openly endorsing their role in future talks, and warmed Washington's ties with Moscow.
And with that, we wrap up news for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Good night.
Good night.